What's good, everybody? Coming back at you with another video today, continuing this series as we break down each NBA team and give our season predictions. Today we got the Cleveland Cavaliers. I got the Colin Sexton jersey on. He's a local guy. I love him, love the way he plays. So I had to put on the Sexton jersey for this video. This is a very interesting team, and I don't mean that in a good way. This team's got Colin Sexton and Darius Garland in the backcourt. These two are not known for playing well together. They looked a little bit better together last season than they have in previous seasons. But you've got two ball-dominant guys in the same backcourt, and usually that never plays out well. So I'm hoping Colin Sexton can either figure out how to play with Darius Garland well, or I hope that Sexton can move on from Cleveland and be able to get his own team where he can be the main ball handler. And hopefully learn to distribute just a little bit better, because that's really his only issue, I feel like. He continues to shoot the ball a little bit better. He becomes more of a volume scorer each and every season so far. So the way that Colin Sexton's developing, I think is good for him. I just don't know if Darius Garland is the partner to have with him in the backcourt. Another interesting dynamic with this team is two of their key wing players in Cedi Osman and Isaac Okoro. Okoro is one of their rookies from last year, so he's going into his second season this year. But both of these dudes are key wing players that are going to be getting decent rotational minutes. Neither of them can really shoot the ball well, and that's a little bit concerning. That makes it really hard for Sexton to play the style that he does, because he's more of a drive to the basket type of guy, attack the rim. So he can't really just drive to the rim, look to kick it out to Okoro or Osman, because they're not really that great of shooters. If he kicks that out, it's probably a lower percentage shot than he would take even if he's double teamed in the paint. So that's going to make it really hard there. And then the big man rotation on this team is atrocious. I don't know what Cleveland is trying to do, but you've got Kevin Love. He's been locked into Cleveland for years now. He's just a very difficult piece with that team at this point. And we'll talk about him a little bit more later. But then you've got Jarrett Allen that they just signed to a 5-year extension, and that's starting to kick in this year. He's got $20 million a year for the next 5 years. So it looks like they really like him, and looks like he's going to stay around for a while. And then you got Lauri Markkanen that they just traded for, another big man. He's a shooter, so he's the complete opposite of Jarrett Allen. Allen's not much of a shooter, great defensive presence. He'll get buckets at the paint at a high percentage, more of like a DeAndre Jordan when he was with the Clippers. And then Markkanen's going to be that guy that stretches the floor for you, knocks down threes. He can be a solid rebounder, but he hasn't been too great of a paint defender so far. So him and Jarrett Allen could play along together well. But then you also have Evan Mobley that they just drafted, and I don't see what they're trying to do here. You're overloaded at the big man position between power forwards and centers. There's not enough room to start the two dudes that you just signed us big contracts and the rookie that you just got. So I assume Evan Mobley's going to be that odd man out that's coming off the bench to start with. And then they're just going to work on developing him, hopefully, because you don't draft a dude number 3 overall to just stick him on the bench forever. So hopefully they work with Mobley and just allow him to kind of ease into the league. I could see this kind of being like a James Wiseman situation last year, where you take a dude in the top 3, but you just kind of have him ease into the league and not stress him out too bad, not let him feel too much pressure. But he's got high expectations. He's a good player. And he's on a bad team, so spending that number 3 pick on him, you really hope that he can come in and do something really well for this team. This team's really got to focus on the development of their young guys this year. Again, Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, Isaac Okoro, Evan Mobley, and Lauri Markkanen, and even Jarrett Allen you can throw in there. He's only 23, so you can throw all these dudes into that group of young guys on this roster that you really want to develop. All these guys have loads of basketball talent, but just having all of them on the same roster is just really weird. Again, Garland and Sexton haven't played too well together the past couple seasons. And then you have Okoro again, not a great shooter. I guess maybe a better defender. I'm not too familiar with his game, but he's an interesting piece to add on to that team. And then you got Mobley, again, rookie coming into the league. Gonna see what he can do. And then Markkanen, a floor spacing big man. And I think you just really got to focus on developing all of these guys and preparing for the future. I don't think this year is a year that Cleveland really has their sights set on the playoffs. So we'll see what happens with that. Kevin Love's contract has been a hindrance to this team for years. He's had many moments where he's looked uninterested in playing in Cleveland, but he's making $30 million a year or so, and it's just making it tough on the team. They can't really do anything. There's been talks of them doing a buyout with him. Those talks died. Then Kevin Love comes out and says that he wants to finish out his contract in Cleveland. I don't blame him. The dude's getting paid $30 million a year, so if you're getting that kind of money, I'd be trying to play that contract out too. But I really hope that Kevin Love can get out of there quick, allow this team to develop better, and then Kevin Love can maybe go sign on a veteran's minimum somewhere, get him one more ring or chase one more ring at least, and he can go about his business there. Another interesting thing with this team is wondering if Colin Sexton's going to get this rookie extension off of his rookie contract here. He's coming into the last season of his contract. Cleveland can extend him, or they can just let him walk, or they can try and negotiate in the off season, like the Hawks did with John Collins this past season. But Colin Sexton's a great player, averaged almost 25 a game last year. He's a solid defensive presence, especially as a guard, and he gets the job done. So I think he's got a starting role somewhere in the league, just don't know where. And if Cleveland doesn't want to extend him, then I feel like that's their loss, because Sexton is a very good player, still young, still has time to develop into an even better player. So we'll see what happens. They could extend him and then not have him in the plans for the long run. They could extend him and try and trade him in the offseason or next season at the beginning of the season. So we'll see what happens there. That's going to be something to keep an eye on. Really interesting scenario they got going on there in Cleveland. Again, they've just got all these pieces. It's kind of like they almost went with the best available players on the roster, like you might do in 2K when you're playing. Sign the best available and then try and trade stuff to get different assets. So maybe that's what Cleveland's doing. I don't know. But for my season predictions for this team, I think 30 wins is a hopeful number for this team to hit this year. They were a 22-win team last season. Again, it was a shorter season, so we'll take that number, maybe up it a little bit. So I think maybe around 25 wins or so. But again, 30 wins I feel like is a hopeful number for this team to hit. And I think this is a bottom 3 team in the East. So that is my little breakdown and prediction for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Really appreciate y'all watching these videos. If you want to make sure you leave a like, comment on the video, make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, and share this with a friend that loves sports, loves basketball, and might like this content. It'd be super appreciated. Again, love y'all. Thank you for watching the videos. Peace out.